everybody. Boffo the Bear here. It is Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. As if days still matter. Typically they don't, but today does, because were it not for this lockdown virus situation, I would have been, like I would have been every year for the past 29 years, in New Orleans for the opening day of the Jazz and Heritage Festival down there. For those of you that have not ever been, you're missing the best party in America. This is a two-weekend event, Thursday through Sunday, and then people sleep for 3 days, and then they come back again for the second Thursday through Sunday. And it is musicians from all over the world, all types of genres: blues, gospel, jazz, hardcore jazz, rock, hip-hop, funk, everything. Any musician who is a musician has played at one time or another at the Jazz and Heritage Festival, colloquially known as Jazz Fest. And it's a sad day for music fans such as myself all over the country, because Jazz Fest is not happening this year in 2020 like other big festivals that were scheduled to go off all over the country, all over the world this year. It has been canceled. It will not be occurring until the spring of 2021. And it's especially sad for New Orleans, the most musically diverse and alive city in America. It's hitting the city economically hard, and I think spiritually hard. And I thought we might get a little perspective on that from the city's preeminent music critic and writer. He writes for the Times-Picayune, the New Orleans Advocate. He's a great fan of music and a Jazz Fest veteran for over 30 years. Please welcome to the program, Keith Sparrow. Welcome, Keith.
Hello, Boffo.
What a dark day this must be for you, huh?
Yeah, it's bizarre. I've set my personal calendar for the last 30 years by the last weekend in April and the first weekend in May, knowing that each of those weekends I'm going to be out at the fairgrounds covering Jazz Fest. So yeah, this is a disruption of 30 years of personal tradition.
Yeah, kind of like me. Normally, this whole thing ruined my hibernation. Normally, I'm not up till this time. And, I wake up, I clean off, and I head to New Orleans for my first thing of the year. It's very disruptive. Before we get into the glory that is Jazz Fest, between the music and the city and the food and the people, give us a little flavor of what it's like for people that have not been. Can you explain the experience in mere words?
Well, it's tricky because, Jazz Fest is a combination of sight, sound, and smells. It's kind of all that coming together within the context of the 26-acre infield of the Fairgrounds Race Course. So, I like to say that with all due respect to Lollapalooza and Bonnaroo and Coachella and all these other big festivals, even Austin City Limits, you could pick up those festivals, the lineup from those festivals, and put them anywhere. That's not the case with New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, because it is so much a reflection of New Orleans and a part of New Orleans. And that's the whole spectrum. You mentioned in your intro all the different genres, which is true. You can hear all that stuff, but you also hear all the stuff that's a little bit in between. It's like, oh, is that a jazz guy? Is that an R&B guy? Is that a funk guy? What is that? And over the last 15 years or so, Jazz Fest has started presenting a lot of the marquee names that you see at all the other big festivals. Like this year, we were supposed to have the Foo Fighters and Stevie Nicks and the Dead and Lizzo and all these sort of folks. But, that's not really what gives Jazz Fest its personality. What gives it the personality is all the local stuff. It's Walter Wolfman Washington, this blues and funk guy that you can't see anywhere else. It's right. The gospel tent, where you can cruise by and you may see a 60-person gospel choir in the middle of the day, and you can stand there with a cup of beer in your hand and a cochon de lait po' boy and get some gospel music. It's Cajun and Zydeco bands, which you won't see really anywhere else in the world, playing stuff and people dancing out on the field. So it's that sort of communal experience that makes it unique within the context of New Orleans and all that makes the city unique. So it's, the taste, the food, the smells of the food, the sounds, and it's people that wear their, Jazz Fest attire, which can be anything. And people have these big old poles where they have flags on it so you can find them in the crowd. So it's just this whole community of folks, and there's a consistency to it. You know where the Crawfish Monica booth is going to be every year. You know where the jazz tent is going to be. All that stuff. You know where it's going to be, but yet it still sounds or seems fresh every single year that you go.
Oh, you're talking about the smells, and literally, my jowls are watering. That the among the billions of things that Jazz Fest does right, I think, is the food. You know, you go to other festivals in other cities, and a hamburger, a boring ass hamburger, is $15. At Jazz Fest, what crawfish Monica is $4, $5?
Well, it's more like $6, but it's really good, and it's a dish you're not going to find anywhere else. And I mentioned the cochon de lait po' boy. It's this roast pork po' boy with this mustard on this little bun. That's how I start my year every year. As soon as I get on the fairgrounds, I go get a cochon de lait po' boy. But you can get, these things, oyster sacks, it's called. It's just like pastry thing with oysters in it. That's delicious. And you can get all these. There's a great pheasant and andouille sausage gumbo that you can get out there. One year I was standing in line for it, and I turn around and hear a guy talking behind me. It was Jimmy Buffett standing behind me to get the same gumbo. So, you can have all of those kind of cool experiences out there because it's such a unique festival. And as you say, I'd put the food at Jazz Fest up against any festival in the world.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. It's not only is it diverse, and I don't think there's a more diverse culinary city in America than New Orleans. That you are the top food city in the country for my money. Everyone is represented there, and you hit on it. It's the communal experience. It's being there with people that you don't know, but everyone is sharing the same love of the day, or the alligator po' boys, or the iced cafe de lait, the frozen. It's like a coffee milkshake, and usually about 2:33 in the afternoon, you're a little tired. You have 16 ounces of that, you're ready to go all night.
Yeah, the mango freeze, that kind of frozen treat where it's made out of mango. That that's a great little pick me up. The snowballs, all that stuff. I mean, it's a cornucopia of New Orleans culinary excellence, delivered in a little paper cup that you can eat out of as you roam around the grounds.
There's a sentence from a New Orleans writer: a cornucopia. Put that, all you aspiring journalists out there, write that one down, study it, put it under your pillow, let it seep into your brain. Another beautiful thing about the Jazz Fest period is all these people from Jimmy Buffett to the late, great John Prine, to the late, great Stevie Ray Vaughan, B.B. King, Buddy Guy, Walter Wolfman, you got Cowboy Mouth, you got Galactic, all these great bands. At night, in all the clubs in New Orleans, they all mix it up together and will, guys from different bands will jam together. And that's one of my favorite things, going out to the club scene. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, that's like part two of the whole experience. The festival itself goes from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And they do that on purpose so that people can then go out and experience all this music in the clubs. And, it seems like the clubs try to outdo themselves in terms of all night programming. There'll be shows that start at 3 a.m. And go till sunrise. And you see all kinds of mixing and matching. In recent years, there's been a lot more kind of Grateful Dead related late night shows where, different kinds of jam bands and all that sort of stuff. Of course, this year, the Dead themselves were supposed to play at the festival. So I imagine there'd been even more of it this year. But it just really, it's the 11 days where the New Orleans music community really struts its stuff. I like to say it's Super Bowl week for the New Orleans musicians because there's so many gigs and so many new configurations that they don't play in normally. And you can literally see live music from 11 in the morning till sunrise the next day, and then grab a quick breakfast, 2-hour power nap, and go back to the fairgrounds, do it all over again.
Yeah, that's the formula. But if you've done Jazz Fest right, by Monday morning, you need to sleep all day.
Yes.
And then you get a couple of monsoons and port a call, you get on your plane, you go home.
Spoken like a veteran.
Yeah, it's a, I don't want to overuse the term, but it truly is a magical experience. The first year that I went to Jazz Fest was the same year that the Los Angeles riots happened. And I had gotten on a plane and I left L.A. knowing nothing was happening. I landed, I got to my hotel, I turned on the TV, and literally Los Angeles was literally burning. And then I'm in my hotel room not knowing what to expect, knowing there's going to be a lot of diverse people at the festival. Is there going to be trouble at the festival tomorrow? It was beautiful. People of every color, shape, size, type, dancing, hugging, kissing, just basking in the music and the food and the experience. It's like an oasis from the world. Unfortunately, it would be perfect for right now, but because of all these things, we can't have it.
Well, yeah, and that's the irony. One of the greatest musical experiences of my life, and I mean, I've been covering music for 30 years. I can't tell you how many shows I've seen. One of the best things I ever did experience was Bruce Springsteen and the Seeger Sessions band at the
Yes.
first Jazz Fest after Hurricane Katrina. So,
Oh,
you were talking about the LA riots and how Jazz Fest was kind of a respite from that. At first Jazz Fest after Katrina, 8 months after the storm, where you still had big chunks of the city that were uninhabited and still destroyed. And at the fairgrounds, you could look at in the surrounding neighborhood and see the blue FEMA tarps still on a lot of roofs. A lot of the musicians still didn't live here. A lot of the citizens still didn't live here. But the fact that they were able to do a jazz fest and have people come together, it was very much a signpost on the road to recovery, and just to be with everybody else out there and celebrate the music of New Orleans and kind of understand that, yeah, this is not going to go away and it's very much worth saving. It was a remarkable thing to be a part of and be out there. And Springsteen, especially, and obviously Springsteen's not from here, but he came down a little early that year before he played. He went around the city. He kind of got the context. So he got out there with the Seeger Sessions band, which was their first big public gig, and played this set that had people in tears, including me. And I mean, I've been to, gazillion shows. I mean, I have a touch of the journalist cynicism in me. And I mean, I had tears going in my face as he was doing My City of Ruins, which was written about Asbury Park, New Jersey, but was totally applicable to New Orleans at the time. It was incredible. But, we all came out of that Jazz Fest totally amped up and kind of had a renewed spirit and a renewed faith and, a little more motivation to rebuild the city and get it back 100%. So yeah, so Jazz Fest very much served that purpose, and it could have this year, except for the fact that it's the very opposite of what you want to be doing in the face of this current
right.
crisis. Gathering in a
Yeah.
large crowd and dancing together is not a good idea at the moment, apparently.
Right. No,
So
I remember that first Jazz Fest after the festival. The first guy on the main stage, the used to be called the Ray Ban stage, was Anders Osborne, and he came on at 11 o'clock, which is odd for him because he's a headliner. But they put him on, I guess, to start it on that day, and I'm talking about it now. The fur in my arm is standing up. He came out and he said the most beautiful thing I've ever seen was traffic on Esplanade, which is the main street that leads to the festival, and then did an incendiary, fantastic set. Springsteen's set that year was amazing. It really the fest, at least to me, amplifies all the things that are good about people. And
yeah, no, I think that's an accurate way to say it. I don't think all the years I've been going out there, tens of thousands of people have been around. I don't think I've ever seen a fight.
no,
Um, and it can get very crowded. I mean, when Elton John played a few years ago, the field in front of his stage was densely packed, and so I know it was a challenge for people to keep their cool in a crowd that big, but by and large they did. And when he started playing, it was like, okay, we're all in this together. We're all friends. Let's put our arms around each other and sing Tiny Dancer. So that's the
right,
spirit that prevails. And there've been days when there's been rainstorms, but that moment when the sun comes out, I remember it happened last year during I think it was the Doobie Brothers. I think they were doing Jesus is Just All Right, and the sun broke through for the first time during the day. So it's like, all right, I mean, somebody up there likes Jazz Fest apparently.
exactly. It's a magical time and a magical place in a really magical city, a city of so many talented performers. You cover it on your music beat. I would stack up just a regular bar musician, a guy playing literally in a hotel bar in New Orleans, is 10 magnitudes of order better than like gigging musicians in other cities. It's like you have to be spectacular just to have a run of the mill music job. I mean, the you know what I mean? I mean, would you agree? It seems that way to me.
Look, there's a fluency here that it's not just about playing notes and scales and knowing the technical end of it. There's a feel to the music here, which is kind of it helps if you're born here, but it also helps if you've been here for a while and soaked it up. Example being this band, the Revivalists. None of those guys are from here. They met down here, became a band down here, but now they're very much a New Orleans band because there's just a flavor to their music that you can't find anywhere else. And those guys still play with everybody else around town, even though they're headlining Red Rocks and all these other big venues. They still are very much part of the New Orleans music scene. And there's a community here amongst the musicians You don't get the sort of cutthroat sense of competition that you may have in some other towns. Everyone's part of it. Everyone hires each other on their gigs. People are able to play a lot of different types of music. The rhythm, the kind of syncopation in the drums, you don't find them anywhere else. The prevalence of horns, the fact that a trombone is cool here, that's not
Right,
necessarily the
right.
case in a lot of other
You're not the
towns.
band nerd if you play brass down in New Orleans.
No, no, you're pretty darn cool. So yeah, all that taken together, makes it a very unique town for music, and certainly from my perspective, a unique town to cover music for sure.
How is the musical community faring during this outbreak? Obviously, no one's out gigging. You're in touch with all these musicians. How are people coping? Are there relief funds set up, and what are they doing with their time?
Yeah, I mean, there are relief funds set up. In fact, the Jazz and Heritage Foundation, which is the nonprofit that actually owns Jazz Fest, they spend the proceeds from Jazz Fest on various cultural and educational programs throughout the year. So they've set up a relief fund. The first phase of it was for musicians. You had to, fill out an application, make sure you're legit, but they handed out, I want to say, 1,100 grants of $500 a piece for gig workers, for people that, stage techs and sound people and lighting people, and booking agents, all those other people that are involved in the industry here in Louisiana, that they're giving out money to. So yeah, there is relief, but yeah, obviously a lot of these musicians are in a tough boat because they make the vast majority of their money from playing live. A bunch of them are doing, live streaming concerts where they'll have a virtual tip jar out. John Cleary, the great piano player who spent years in Bonnie Raitt's band and played with Taj Mahal and has his own very, very good band. He's been doing piano lessons online, live streaming, and he's been doing these things called quarantini happy hours, where he'll play an evening set and you could tip him via PayPal or Venmo. So yeah, so they're doing a lot of that, but it's not the same. And again, the loss of Jazz Fest, it's really hard to make that up. I was talking to George Porter, the bass player from the Meters, one of the legendary funk bands from New Orleans that kind of helped define funk.
Yeah.
He was saying that he makes probably 20% of his income for the year during Jazz Fest, the watershed season for New Orleans musicians. So to lose it entirely this year is definitely got a lot of them facing, some pretty serious financial pressure.
Well, luckily, there's some small ray of hope in this entire mess. The fantastic radio station down there, WWOZ.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So WWOZ, community radio station here, their license is actually owned by the Jazz and Heritage Foundation. So they have a very close relationship with the festival. Every year during Jazz Fest, they broadcast live from the fairgrounds. They have a hospitality tent, which if you buy a thing called a brass pass, which gets you into the festival every day, you also get access to this hospitality tent where they have all kinds of fresh fruit and nice coffee and misters and all this. It's a great little respite from the fairgrounds. But anyway, they typically broadcast live all day at the fairgrounds from 11 to 7. Some performances, they'll have guests on. I usually do a segment every day where I talk about what happened the previous day and what's going to happen the next day. So without the festival itself happening this year, they are broadcasting for the same hours they would have at the fairgrounds. They're broadcasting archival classic Jazz Fest performances from the festival's archives. So you're going to hear great sets from, Dr. John, who of course is no longer with us, and just all these other classic performances that they've dug out of the archives. So I'm not even sure what they're going to play yet, but I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'll be tuning in. So it's not the same as being at Jazz Fest, but if you're listening from afar, the experience will be similar in that you're going to be getting these great performances, great showcases of New Orleans music that were recorded at the fairgrounds.
Right, and that started today at 11 a.m. Central Time. And in just a minute, we're going to have two world-class, famous New Orleans musicians, John Thomas Griffith from Cowboy Mouth and Paul Sanchez from the Rolling Review, playing live on here, the show, to kind of bring a little more New Orleans flavor. But before we do that, I want to thank Keith Sparrow for being on the program. Keith, thank you so much for your insight and your background, and we really appreciate it. And I hope to see you next year at the festival when it actually happens again.
Well, I hope so too. I notice you're looking a little blue, so I hope you can make it out next year and get cheered up.
Thank you so much, Keith. Thanks for talking to us, and stay the course, my friend.
You bet. See you next year at the fairgrounds.
Thanks, Keith. Keith Sparrow from the Times-Picayune, the Advocate newspaper in New Orleans. He's the music critic, although I don't know what you can criticize about New Orleans music. I think he's just the preeminent music writer. in the country. We thank him for joining us on what would have been the opening day of Jazz Fest 2020. And you know what? Quite frankly, I'm tired of just talking about the music. Let's hear some music. We're going to do that right now with two guys that would have been on the stage at Jazz Fest this year. From Cowboy Mouth, John Thomas Griffith, and Paul Sanchez from Paul Sanchez and the Rolling Roadshow, and also formerly of Cowboy Mouth. They've been nice enough to join us here and make a little music on what would have been the opening day of Jazz Fest. Hey, guys, how are you?
Oh, great to be here, man.
Hello, Boffo. Good to see you.
John, I know you're up in Palo Alto, but Paul, you're actually in New Orleans. Can you tell us what it's like down there?
Quiet, baby. Real quiet.
Right, the clubs are closed. No
Closed and boarded up. You know, it's PTSD for those of us who lived through Katrina. It's quiet and boarded up and hauntingly beautiful and temporarily safe and sad.
Yeah, it's giving me the blues. But you know what? There's one good remedy for sadness, for anything. Music. Right, John Thomas?
Welcome to the New Orleans Jazz Fest 2020 Gospel Tent.
All right. Here you go, folks. Two of the best, giving you a little New Orleans wherever you may be.
It's 4 a.m. I'm drunk and alone, trying to call you on a public phone. I wanted passion, I wanted desire. Heart is a flame that pains me if I do not light it on fire. 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 Perfect picture of a perfect fool. You're out doing what I wanted you to. I'm in a heartbreak hotel and there's a desk clerk for hire. Heart is a flame that pains me if I do not light it on fire. 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 How can I tell you just how it feels? How does it make clubs stand? How do you know if what's staying is real? I was the one full of whiskey and talk. I was the one with a skip in my walk. You say the truth hurts, well, so does a liar. Heart is a flame that pains me if I do not light it on fire. If I do not light it on fire. If I do not light it on fire. If I do not light it on fire.
This is a song called Bed of Roses. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we lie in a bed of roses, and we sing loving tunes, and we walk through the shadows. We keep searching for the truth. Brother, and you are my friend. Though we're apart, we're together again. If you start to sing a sad, sad song, head to the west and take me along. And we lie in a bed of roses, and we sing loving you start to sing a sad, sad song. Head to the west and take me along, and we lie in a bed of roses, and we sing a loving tune, and we walk through the shadows. We keep searching for the truth. Yeah, we keep searching for the truth. We keep searching for the truth.
Don't waste your time being angry when a moment's much better with a smile. And if you feel your time's been wasted here for a while, standing at the bus stop just across from Kraus, waiting for the driver to take me to my heavenly house. And I'll see you there at the foot of Canal Street. What will you wear at the foot of Canal? What will the band be playing at the foot of Canal? What will the people be saying at the foot of Canal? Does your father lie there? Does your mother pray? I wanna put on my golden crown at the foot of Canal Street. And when the levee banks have overflowed and the streetcar has seen its day, when all is gone, the plantations, hallelujah, the Treme and the Bucare, you know I'll be swinging to that music. I'll be up on higher ground where Pops is blowing Walk On. Up with Gabriel, make his sacred sound, and I'll see you there at the foot of Canal Street. What will you wear at the foot of Canal? What will the band be playing at the foot of Canal Street? What will the people be saying at the foot of Canal Street? Does your father lie there? Does your mother pray? I wanna put on my golden crown at the foot of Canal Street. See you there at the foot of Canal Street. What will you wear at the foot of Canal? Or will the band be playing at the foot of Canal? Or will the people be saying at the foot of Canal? Does your father lie there? Does your mother pray? I wanna put on my golden crown. I wanna lay my burden down. I'll be moving up to higher ground at the foot of Canal Street. At the foot of Canal Street.
This is a song called Will the Circle Be Unbroken? 1, 2, 3, 4. I was standing by my window one cold and cloudy day when I saw that person coming. Would you carry my mama away? Will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Undertaker, Undertaker, can't you take it mighty slow? That's my mother that you're taking. How I hate to see you go.
Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Will I follow close behind her, try to hold up and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow as they laid her in the grave. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. In the sky, Lord, in the sky. In the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Oh, yeah, that is John Thomas Griffith and Paul Sanchez. They used to be in a band called Cowboy Mouth together out of New Orleans. Great band. And now Paul has his own band. John plays with Cowboy Mouth, and they do some called Lonesome Travelers. They're great. Thanks to those guys for coming on and spreading a little Jazz Fest cheer here on this day that would have been the opening day of the 51st New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. Don't fret, though. There's more music on the way. These guys that are coming on the program next I think they played the Jazz Fest once and then did something horrible and have not been back, even though they're one of the greatest bands in America. We're going to find out what's going on with Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. It's Scotty Morrison and Glenn Marhefka. You affectionately know him as The Kid, the lead trumpet player from the band. Gentlemen, welcome to the Boffo the Bear program.
Boffo, how are you?
Hey, Boffo.
I'm doing pretty good. This show has been keeping us busy here in the studio, and we're able to come live every day at 6:00. But I got all the musician friends that I have that I've been talking to. Everyone's going out of their minds. How are you handling being off the road and not doing anything?
Going out of my mind for sure. Me for sure. Yes.
Yeah, we're trying our best, man. We're trying our best. We're doing a lot of individual practicing and sending a lot of video parts around to each other, trying to piece stuff together. It's crazy.
Well, the good thing about it is I've written a boatload of music and recorded a bunch of demos, and that's a good thing because we were so busy as it was that I had any time to slow down and get most of this stuff like sorted out. I had all the ideas and all the frameworks, keys, songs, lyrics mapped out, but nothing concrete. Now there's a full record in tow now.
That seems to be the paradigm that's coming into focus. All my creative friends, and because I am in Hollywood, I have, 3 or 4 very creative friends. It seems like people that are innately creative are using this time to make stuff and do things and create material for whatever purpose. I don't even think people know, but at least we know that eventually this is going to end and you guys are going to go back on the road. How long has this band been together? It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it actually what is today? Right around today, yesterday, something like that. We just turned 27 years old, 27 with all original members. So 27 years, and we've been touring pretty much on average 125 to 150 shows a year the entire time. We've done over 3,000 shows together too.
Wow. And now look at the kid has gray in his beard.
Yeah. I'm creating a beard during the coronavirus days.
It actually looks pretty good on you.
Thanks, Boffo. I appreciate that, man.
I think you're the hairiest kid I've ever seen.
It's getting pretty ridiculous over here. The family is telling me I should shave, but I have not shaved since right before the last concert we did, which was the first week of March, and I think we were in Nashville, and that was the last time I shaved. So I'm kind of thinking I might go the full distance until our next concert, and then go on stage with a full beard, and then maybe I'll shave it off after the concert victoriously. That's my plan.
I think you
should bet Boffo something, and then Boffo will come on stage and shave you during the show.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yes, let's shave you during just take an extended boom, ding, boom, ding, boom kind of drum break, and someone comes out and ceremoniously puts down a chair and shaves you, and then you come out of the shaving system and you play a killer solo. That would be a ticket that I would pay to see.
That's a great idea.
That's a show.
That's a show.
No, you call it the Hairless Kid. You might draw a weird crowd, depending on the city you're in.
I think I've known you, Boffo, for close to 30 years, I think. And I know that we've had some bets over the years, so I know that this is definitely probably going to happen.
Yes, no, and I always pay my bets. Let's be honest. I always pay my bets.
As do I.
Yes. I recall a New Year's Eve in San Francisco where I think you lost a bet and you had to come on stage dressed in a diaper as Baby New Year.
I think that did happen in a long time ago.
You remember
that's exactly it. That's what went through my head when I said about the bet. You come on stage and shave him. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And it was like a swaddling diaper, like Jesus or Baby New Year would wear, and he walked on stage in a diaper because he's a man of his word, and then played a great show. It was I almost ran over.
True to Kid's form, he filled that diaper during the show.
Yeah, did.
Well, why wear it if you're not going to use it?
That's all I say.
Yeah, that is, I think, a testament to your music. That you guys, same band members for 27 years. I mean, nobody does that. Go out and see Chicago or the Moody Blues or the Isley Brothers. Anybody. There's no original guys left. You guys are playing all together. You sound better every year. And you're doing stuff I didn't even know about. I was driving around the other day with the top down, getting a little sun and enjoying myself, as I'm known to do. And I turn on the XM and I hear a Dean Martin song with Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah, Capitol put together a record called Forever Cool a few years ago. And they basically found a bunch of Dean Martin's isolated 3 tracks in the Capitol vaults. And they thought it would be cool to get a bunch of bands to record duets with him and basically just strip his vocal out and then write arrangements around it. And we had the good fortune to do Who's Got the Action and You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You. And it was insane to have his vocal isolated. And it was in my studio here, in this studio here. I was in, and then all of a sudden Dean Martin is with me. And it was truly one of the heaviest things I've ever really witnessed, because his pocket was beyond. And you could hear the big band in the background because he did it live. He's in Capital B with the big band because they were in A and he was in B. It was all opened up and it was unbelievable. It sounded unreal.
Wow. That really is cool. I mean, there is a pantheon of singers of that ilk that is maybe 4 guys big. You got Sinatra, you got Dean Martin, you got Tony Bennett. Who else would you put in that group?
Well,
Louis Prima, maybe?
Yeah, I liked all of those dudes, Louis Armstrong is in there too, because I love the way he phrased. But even guys like Mel Torme, Mel Torme, he's scary how he phrases, man. He's swinging too. And just all those there's a boatload of guys, but I don't know. The singers, I think you're right.
Now, today is all about New Orleans and the Jazz Festival. As you know, the should have been the opening day of the 2020 Jazz Festival. It was canceled because of this virus, which is why we have you on the program. Now, you guys you've played the Jazz Fest, yes, in your past?
Yeah, we played Jazz Fest
once. 2000.
2000.
And you have not been invited back. Well,
we did so well that they were just waiting because the impact was huge. What we did.
Who pissed off who is the question I'm asking you.
We do not know.
I think I think our manager at the time pissed somebody off. That's my honest feeling because it's doesn't make any sense to us. It's my favorite city on planet Earth. I sing about it all the time. Its influences in everything we do, in every single record we've made, and still they're just I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, I think
it's a killer.
Yeah, we have a lot of people from the Jazz Fest websites and the fan groups watching the program today. So, write your congressman. These guys play the issue kind of music, and they're fantastic. How fantastic are they? Are you asking? I don't know. Is there some sort of new artifact, Glenn, that you could show us to document how fantastic you are and maybe what you all are doing during this pandemic?
I think we can document. I think we have documented something. We actually we just put together a whole video. I had everybody record themselves playing one of our songs. It's actually a New Orleans street.
It's a brand new song. It's the opus of the Tiger King.
Yes, it's Tiger King opus #1. But anyways,
I've been working on it for 3 weeks now.
We did a song from our Save My Soul album, and it's a New Orleans street marching song. You know that you would hear a band marching through the quarter playing, and it's a song that Scotty wrote a long time ago. And
when I was 7 years old when I first
when he was 7, and we started playing it. I guess we recorded this in the early 2000s. Is that about right, Scotty?
Yeah, 2001.
That was on our album Save My Soul. So I had all the guys play their parts individually on their iPhones, and they just sent them all to me, and then I pieced everybody together into a full video of the song. And I just finished it actually late last night so that you guys could see it today. And it's super cool. It's fun. It's just fun. You'll see a lot of fun, eccentric shots of we even have an interesting character appearing in the video.
All right.
And that's all I'll say about that. Look out for him. And the beard, my beard is in the video.
So this is Big Bad Voodoo Daddy's almost homage to New Orleans, a New Orleans street song originally from their record Save My Soul. Now, this is new, live, world premiere, zig-zaggity whoop-whoop right here on the Boffo the Bear program. Check it out. I thought that was a real beard. Was that a real beard and you shaved for this, or that was a fake beard?
I told you this is a real beard, man. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Johnny Cowbell.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
I wanted to shave. That was a real beard. I shaved for you today, Boffo.
I appreciate that. Man, that song is great. It sounds great. It looks like everyone is having a good time. Ron's playing in his car like he's in a timeout. I think that's pretty funny. I can't thank you guys enough for coming on the program to help fill up the void that the Jazz Fest is putting in people. Hopefully, I will see you guys there live and in person at the 2021 Jazz Fest. You would light that place up. You're fantastic. And I'm glad you're all doing well. Thanks so much for being on the program.
Thanks, Boffo.
Thanks, Boffo.
And that is our show, guys. That is the show for today. A tribute to the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, which didn't happen. I want to thank all our guests, the music writer from the Times, Picayune, Keith Sparrow, John Thomas Griffith and Paul Sanchez, and Scotty Morris and Glenn Marhevka from Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. A show filled with music today because our lives can never have enough music in them. So until tomorrow, when we come back with our Big Shot game show, I'm Boffo the Bear. And remember, you gotta love me.